Se fue. Se fue el profe. What?
F.
Creo que no está.
Sí, ya acabo de sacarlo.
Oh.
Ya regresó. Good morning, professor.
I think my computer logged out of the of Slack. Well, let me. I think I'm back. Of Slack, of Zoom.
Good morning, professor.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so yesterday we left off at devices, right? I changed the name from index to devices in the site root, the root of the site, because we're going to have actually many files there. So I'm going to call it devices. And remember, if we send the ID, we get one device with its type. If we don't send the ID, that means we get all the devices. Okay?
Okay.
Any questions at this point?
No.
No.
And I believe we also added a device, right? So what we're going to do now is work with the readings. Now remember, in IoT, in Internet of Things, you have sensors in different parts of the building, or depending what you're working on. And those sensors might be taking readings from temperature or humidity or other things. So those sensors are going to be sending that information to a server. Now we're not going to do that, but we are going to have a table with the readings from each particular device. So we'll be able to see, we're going to do a simulator. So we're going to send the readings through software, but we do have to have the capability of receiving the information and storing it in the database and showing it. Okay. So we're going to add another table to the, hold on, to the database. Let me just open my SQL Workbench. There's something wrong here. Hold on, I have a little problem with my SQL Workbench. So we're gonna add this table. We're gonna insert one reading. Now, as you can see here, let me just make this a little bigger. Not this part. As you can see, is the date time is the default is now. So if I don't send the reading, if I don't send the date time, it's going to be automatically the current date time of the server. The same thing here. ID is a auto increment file field, so you don't have to insert it. It just creates a new one, 1, 2, 3, 4 sequential number. Okay, and we have a foreign key. So add this table, please. Let me know when you're ready.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it, Professor.
Okay, so everything regarding the reading is going to belong to actually to the device. So the reading class is going to be very, very simple. Let me just close these out. So I'm going to cheat a little bit here. So we're going to create the reading class. As you can see, it's very, very simple. Nothing, no connection to database, nothing like that, because everything regarding the readings is actually going to be done in the device class. And also, as you can see, there are no setters. That means that the values are read-only because the ID is auto-generated. The date time is selected by the is stored by the database, and value is we're supposed to be reading it from the device, and we're not supposed to change it. Okay, so that's why there are only getters. I'm sorry, there should only be setters, not, yeah, I'm sorry. There are only getters. I can read them, but I cannot set them. Okay. So do this class is very, very simple.
I got it, Professor.
Okay.
I got it.
Okay. Okay, so now that we have the readings, we're going to go back to the device class. And the first thing we need to do is use that file. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is add our reading. So we're going to kind of copy the add method. And change it to add, actually this should be new device. Add read. And we're going to call it add reading. And we're going to receive only the value. The other three things, like the ID that's auto-generated, the ID of the device, well, is this device. So I'll get the ID from this device. And the date time is going to be generated by the system. So the only thing I need is the value. I'm going to change this. Actually, well, you guys copied it from here. But it's actually different. Oh. So, well, not different, just you need parameters here and a parameter here. So we need to send two values, one for the ID of the device and the other one for the value. So we don't need this. So we're going to send two values. The first one is a string, the second one is a double. So we're going to send the ID of this device and we're going to send the value. And I think that should be it. So again, just so you understand it, this value that I received is this one here. And that one goes here, which is a double. And this one goes here. The second one, let me just change colors here. This one is the device ID. That's why we have have this. And that one is a string. and that one goes here, and that one goes here. Understand?
Okay, so the SSD is with the ID to the device.
The
ID
S
device. Okay.
means that the field is string.
Oh, okay.
Let's see if I can write this. I'm not good at drawing with the mouse. So this is a string,
String ID.
and the other one is a double.
Okay.
This one's because it's a value. In the database is numeric.
Mhm.
There we go. So you have to specify the types of every parameter. The first parameter is a string, the second parameter is a double. So here you have to specify the values, the data types.
Okay.
Everybody got it?
Oh, yes.
Got it.
I got it.
Okay, so right now, let me just go to the database and let me just clear all this. I have, well, let me just execute this again. Because since I did this with the other group, I need to let me just make sure that I have the correct database. There you go. Since I did this with the other group, I need to empty them. So if I see here, select from readings, you're going to see just one reading, the one that is inserted here. As you can see, the ID is 1, and the date time is exactly the date and time right now. Okay. So I'm going to try to add another reading. So I'm going to go to, I'm going to create another file here in the in index to add the, I'm going to copy this one because it's going to be very similar. To add the reading. So I'm gonna name it, call it read. So we're gonna use the device also, because remember the device uses reading, so we're all good. And that's where the method is. So we're not gonna get any gets here. The only thing we're gonna do is post it. So we're gonna do the post method, and we need to check that we receive the ID of the device, device ID, and the value. That is it. I'm going to put them together because there's only 2 of them. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to create this device, make sure it exists. So this one's different. So again, I'm going to use a try. Oh, where am I? I'm going to use a try catch. Should not have. Actually, I kind of need all of this. Well, most of it. So I'm going to try to get the device with the device ID. If for some reason I cannot create the device, I'm going to say, I'm not going to say this, I'm just going to say invalid device ID. So the user will know. I'm not going to display anything here. And I'm going to try to add the reading. So I'm going to say add reading. And I'm going to send as a parameter the, sorry, this is a post, not a get. I'm going to try to send the value. If I can send it, then I'm going to say reading added successfully, could not add reading. I think when we added the object, I'm going to copy the device. We didn't change this part. Okay, so first we need to check the method, which is a post. We're adding I was thinking, we did add a device yesterday, right? And a device type. We added wind and stuff like that. So yeah, I think we did. So we're gonna make sure that we get the method is a post. And that we receive the device ID and the value. If not, if we don't receive those two values, then we're going to tell the user missing parameters, okay, status 999. If we did receive them, the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that this device ID exists. So I'm going to try to create a new device. If I cannot create a new device because the device ID doesn't exist, then I'm going to show this error message 998 invalid device ID. If the device ID does exist, then I'm going to try to add the reading. If I'm able to, I'm going to display reading added successful. If for some reason I'm not able to add the device, I need to change this 997. Then I'm going to show that that I can't add the device. Okay.
Okay.
So copy that part. Got it?
Not yet.
Okay, so we're gonna test it. First, I'm gonna test that that I'm not sending the correct parameters. So first, remember the method has to be a post. Well, I'm gonna do a new one here. I'm gonna do a post. So first, it's a post because that's the request method that we're answering to, post. And then the API should be readings. Readings. So if I send it right now, it's going to return an error message of 999, missing parameters, because I'm not sending the parameters. Okay, so I need to send the parameters. And if you can remember, the parameters go in body, form data. Okay, and we're going to send device ID, and we're going to send value. So device ID, but I'm going to send an incorrect device ID, ABC. That one doesn't exist. And I'm going to send value. So let's say that the temperature right now is 22.7 degrees, okay, Celsius. Okay, so now I should get this error message, invalid device ID. Should get this one, invalid device ID, because the ID of the device doesn't exist. Okay, invalid device ID. And now I'm going to send a valid ID. So I'm going to send OT, outside temperature. And read it added successfully. If we go to the database, because right now we're not reading the devices, the readings yet. And if I execute this one, I should get the new reading, which is this one at 10:39. Okay. So make sure it works. Let me know when you have it. Test it without the parameters, test it with the parameters, test it with an invalid ID, a valid ID, make sure everything works. Okay?
Okay, Professor.
Okay.
Let me know when it's done. Okay, did it work?
Yes, professor, is working.
It works?
Yes.
How about the rest of you? Okay, let me know if it works for everybody. Okay, everybody good?
Yes.
Any
Yes.
questions?
Yes.
No questions? Okay. So now, right now, the way we have it is for the devices, which is, we don't need this one anymore. I'm gonna close out a few of them. Don't save. There we go. So for this one all the way. So for devices, if I send the ID, what happened to my send button? There it is. So if I send the ID, I receive nothing. Forgot. Let me change it. The devices. Let's see what these others are. That one I need. That one is the same one. This one is for the other group. We have this. Okay. So right now, if I send one device only, I send the ID, I get one device. I want to see its readings here. I want to see an array here that says readings, okay, and get all the readings from that array. So I'm going to create a method. Well, I already have it here. A method that's going to return all the readings. Well, actually, I erased it. So we're going to get the list of countries, devices. Yep. So I'm going to copy this one, and I'm going to create a list, a method that returns a list of all the devices, but all the readings. But it belongs to the device, so it is not static. It belongs to the actual object. We're going to call get readings. And let's see, the query should be as follows. We want the ID. Remember the reading class? We want the ID, the date time, and the value. So we want the ID, date time, and the value from readings. Where ID device equals, in this case, OT. We're going to change that to our parameter. And with an order by date, time, descending. So we want the last one first. Okay, so last one first. So this is our query. I'm going to copy it. And that's the one we're going to use here. Except that we're going to change this to a parameter. And remember, since it's a parameter, you have to bind the parameters. String, and those readings belong to this object. And I only need the ID, the date time, and the value. Remember, if the query returns 3 fields, then you need 3 variables to receive each field. If the query requires 1 parameter, then you have to send 1 parameter. Okay, and in here, new reading, and we're going to send the ID. We're going to send date time, and we'll send value. Again, these methods are very repetitive. You just change queries and parameters and stuff like that, but they're very repetitive. That's the whole point, because a lot of the applications are just querying data from different places, okay? Like for a school, we're querying classes, schedules, grades, all of that stuff. Just query, query, query. Okay, so they're basically the same. Just change the query, change the parameters. Got it?
Yes, Professor Light.
Okay, so we're gonna have two methods. We actually already, I didn't erase it. So we're gonna have two methods to JSON. You can copy this one and paste it here at JSON full, and we're just gonna add the readings. And remember, we already have this class JSON that has a method list to JSON that we already did, and we're accessing the method get readings, and we're adding them to the method. Got it?
Yes.
Okay, so we're just gonna change here in devices. Save this. In devices, in the get part, not in the post. The get. Wait a minute. We didn't actually add a device, right? Because it looks like we added device type. So this isn't, we need to fix this part. So anyway, we'll fix this later. So here when we get one, instead of showing the JSON, just change it to JSON full. And JSON full. Postman is not working. That's good. Hey, wake up. He doesn't want to wake up. Okay, Postman went away. Let me open it again. What happened to Postman? Starting engines. Give me a second while Postman opens. There you go. Almost there. Okay, so we're gonna get a device. Come on. There you go. Didn't I actually add the? Actually, it's reading class. Okay, so now we get the device with its readings. Okay, we have 2 readings. Now I'm going to get the other device, for instance, the what is outside humidity, right? Oh, come on. So outside humidity doesn't have any readings. Okay, so I'm going to send one. So I'm going to go here in readings and post to the outside humidity. And I'm going to say that the humidity outside is, I don't know, 17.5%. In this case, it's percent, it's not degrees. So I'm going to send it, reading added successfully. I'm going to go here and send the request again and see that I have a reading. Again, if I don't send the ID, I'm just receiving a list of the devices. But if I want one particular ID, one particular device, then I am going to get the readings. Okay, let me send another one. This one here. So the humidity, let's say, is dropped during the day, so it's 17.4 now. And I go here, and I send it again. And I have 2 readings. Now the way we're setting it up is last one first. Okay, last one first. Got it?
Got it.
Okay, so let's review everything we've done. We actually need 3 files here at the beginning, but first, just to make sure, let's start with device types. Device types, we created the constructor, the JSON, we added a device type, get all to JSON. So this one here, I'm going to copy it. And paste it. Then we're going to call it device types. Okay, so we're going to have 3 device types, devices, device types, and the readings. Device types, device type. Let's make sure that we have everything correct. Type. This one doesn't have it to JSON full. JSON, and this one is device. Device type, and here I think the post was for device type correctly. Device type. Okay. So this one's good. So let's see. Again, we're gonna test all 3 actions. That's what we call them. I'll put them here. Just gonna copy the URL. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna show the categories, API, collections. Okay. So we're gonna create a collection, and I'm gonna say, we're gonna call it Smart Home 3D. So that's gonna be you. Okay. Okay. So this one here is gonna be for device types. Types.php. And I'm going to save it. So I'm going to save it in the collection Smart Home 3D. And the name is going to be device types. This is how we should always do it, because I don't want to have a whole bunch of tabs here and keep adding to it and stuff like that. So I have device types. I have it there. If I close it, I can open it again. Okay. So get devices, get device types. That's correct. We have 3 of them. If I send one ID, temperature, that works. And if I try to add, I have to send the ID, which we already have humidity, temperature, and wind. So let's say light. Hold on. There's this ID. Light. Then name, light, an icon. Let's look for an icon. Hold on, I have it somewhere around here. Okay, so wake up. Come on. My computer knows it's Friday, so it wants to go sleep. Don't worry, it'll open. It won't open. Computer went bye-bye. Come on, awesome, you can do it. There we go. Okay, so light bulb or light. We use this one, light bulb. So that's going to be our icon, light bulb. Okay, so icon, light bulb. So we add it successfully. We go back to get and no parameter. So there is light. So that one works. Okay, make sure it works for you guys. Now the second one is going to be, so I'm going to put this one right at the beginning. The second one is for devices. So I'm going to also save it. Save as. Devices. And save in the same collection. Save. So I have two of them. And remember, if I send one, I get the reading. If I don't send the ID, I'm good. The only thing that's not correct is this part, because this is for device type. So I have to actually send the ID, the name, the IP address. So let's say patio light. Patio light. So there's going to be a light sensor in the patio. IP address, two addresses. 192.168.0.4. Okay, I'm not going to send it yet. Actually, I need ID type. Okay, type ID. I'm not going to send it yet because I haven't done the backend correctly. So device type works. Now devices, this one, the post, we actually didn't do it correctly. We left the other one. So we have to receive the ID, the name, the IP address, and the type ID. So we have to do that. But it has to be a little bit like this one, like this. So I'm going to copy it, the try catch, and so first we need to check the device type. So this one's going to be DT device type. It's going to be type ID. Same thing. This one's. If this is incorrect, then I'm going to send invalid device type ID. Okay. And this part is the same. Like I said, very, very repetitive. So device added, cannot add device, and So we're gonna create the empty object, which is a device, set name, set ID, set IP address. And set device, which is going to be DT. I'm sorry, set type, which is going to be the object we created up here. This one here, device type. Oh, let me see. Is that correct? So again, first, if we don't receive the parameters, we will receive the parameters ID, name, IP address, and type ID. We're going to display missing parameters. If we do receive them, we're going to try to create a new, we're going to see if this device exists, this type ID that exists. If it doesn't exist, then error message 998. And finally, if we can add it, if it does exist, then we're going to try to create a device, set the values, and try to add that device. If we're able to add it, then status 0, everything was added correctly. If not, then because if I gave it the same ID, then I'm not going to be able to add it. So make sure you have this, and we'll test it. Okay, give you 5 minutes. Okay, got it?
Yes. Yes, Professor.
Okay, so let's test it. We already tested to get and get all. Now we're going to test to send it. So first, I'm not going to send one of the parameters to test that I don't have the correct parameters. Oh, sorry. Post. We have to change it to post. So missing parameters, that is correct. Now I'm gonna send all the parameters, but this one's gonna be wrong. So invalid device type ID, that is correct. Now I'm gonna try to add it, but with an ID that already exists, like outside temperature, that one already exists. So I should get 997 for that add device. Now I'm gonna send the correct patio light. I'm gonna send the correct ID, and hopefully we added it. And if we go back to get and get all the devices, we should get the patio light ID. Okay, so this one works. Now we have device and device type works. Now we go to readings. This one we're also going to save. So I'm going to save it as readings. And save it to Smart Home 3D. And let's send a reading for the patio light. Right now it's morning. This one's also percentages. So right now it's morning. So the light is, let's say, at 97% because the patio is facing the sun. Okay, so 97.2%. So we go back to devices. We're gonna get one device, the patio light. And we got the reading of 97.2 degrees. So all three APIs are working. This is not exactly how it should work at the end. There's another part of it. These are called controllers, and there's a file higher up called a router. So depending on the request that you're sending, the router tells the controller to return a result or to pay attention to that request. Okay, so we don't have that because you're Okay, like I was saying, there's a file called, well, maybe a one file or several files, component, let's call it, called the router, which will redirect the request to the specific controller. So right now we're going to leave it this way. So whenever we want to do a request, we're just going to put these URLs. Okay. So I want you guys to check everything we did on the back end and make sure it works. Make sure you don't have any questions. Okay. Your project, which you have to present at the end of the quadrimester, which is in about what is it? 4 weeks, about a month. This project is not the one you're gonna use for the contest. For the contest, I'm assuming you're gonna use something with virtual reality or what do you call it? Enhanced reality or something like that, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is not for the contest. This is just for the class. So you're gonna have about a month to do this. It's gonna have to be something related to Internet of Things, smart homes, smart garden, I don't know, smart parking lot, or hospital, or nursing home, or school, or manufacturing plant, whatever you want. Okay, office building, whatever you want. But you have to tell me what it is about. So this, what I gave you, is like 90% of what you're gonna do. Okay, you're just gonna have to change a couple of things to make it a little bit better. But I need you guys to understand everything that we just did regarding the back end. So it's, like I said, it's very repetitive. It's connection to the database, executing queries, or executing SQL commands like insert, and basically getting the information in JSON format so we can read it on the front end. So you guys have any questions with that?
Okay,
Take your
Professor.
time. Yeah. You were saying?
No, I use here.
Okay, take your time. Make sure that everything's understood. Okay? I'll give you 5 minutes to go through everything regarding all the files that we did on the back end. Make sure they work. If you have errors or questions, let me know. Okay? 5 minutes.
Professor,
Yeah.
I have a question. How works the folder config?
What's in the folder config?
I'm not sure how it works that.
This
Oh,
one here?
there. Uh-huh.
Okay, remember that this file is just so you cannot open the config folder directly and read this file. And
Oh.
this one here is just a configuration for the connection to the database, which in this case is smart home.
Okay. Is the connection is works with the connection.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, any questions?
Professor, we are going to work with the front end and the back end.
Yes, of
So
course.
we need to send the all the arrays to the front end and works with that when we
Yes, that is correct.
okay.
But
And we
that's what we're gonna do next.
okay.
But I need you guys to first understand this
The
part.
back end.
So if there are no questions, then we can continue.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So we have two folders, API and app. In the app, we're going to create a new folder called simulator. And in the simulator, we're going to create file called readings, HTML, a folder for, you know, CSS. But that one's in here. Yeah, sounds cool. And JS. Okay, I'm going to cheat again. So I'm going to work right now with this one, and I'm going to create a new file here called style. And this one, a new file called readings.js. Okay. So first, readings HTML. We're going to work with those three. And this is the HTML that you're going to use. Right now, it's going to show an error message with the init folder and the post readings. So we'll fix that part. What happened? Oh, I think I put everything in the wrong place. So I'm going to fix it here because it's easier. So I put everything here. I'm going to cut it from here. Paste it here. So I'm going to close these out and use this. So they have to be inside simulator. And right now it looks like this. Don't worry about these errors. Oh, this one, yes. Rename readings. Okay, don't worry about this error. Let me know when you're done with this. Got the HTML part. Let me know when you're done with that.
Done.
Okay. Then we're gonna do a little bit of styling. So let me get that. Not much, just to not make it look ugly. You're done?
Yes.
Rudolph.
Okay. So here we're gonna have two functions. The init function, which is the one we have here in that is not finding here in the body, load init. So we're gonna have that one. And we're gonna have a function called get values. Actually, three functions. Not get values, get devices. And the last one is post reading. So right now we have that. Okay, so we're going to use this method to go get the devices from the API. So we're going to have a variable here called API URL, and we're going to copy it from Postman, except for the part that says readings or devices. So just this part. And down here, I'm going to say URL equals API URL plus the word devices PHP. This is just to show that where we're getting the information from. We're not actually getting it yet. Okay, got it? Okay, now I'm gonna purposely make a mistake here so I can explain something. But to get the data, API, we're gonna use a method called fetch. And this method requires a URL, which is the variable that we have up there. And when this fetch returns the values, then we're going to do this, whatever we want to do here. So that is when the value is returned. Now the value is returned as a response. This is called an anonymous function because, as you can see, it has an argument, but it doesn't have a name. Okay, so that's why it's called anonymous. And also this is called an arrow function inside here. And I'm just going to show you the result. So log response, which will return an error. But I'm going to try to explain it. It's kind of complicated. I'm going to try to explain it. Let me know when you get the same error.
We have error in the get.
You should get this error here. Let me know when you get it.
We don't have date.
You don't have what?
Date?
Date? Just let me know when you get this error. Let me know so I can explain what it is. You don't need to tell me what it is. I'll explain it.
Is empty.
What is empty? Don't try to guess what it is. I'm going to explain it what it is. Just let me know when you get the error. Do you have this error?
Yes.
Yes, got it.
Okay. What it's telling you is that the request was denied, was blocked by the CORS policy. CORS stands for Cross-Origin Resource Sharing. Okay? So it's this part, Cross-Origin Resource Sharing. Now, what that means is that when you have a resource, be it a file, of an image, an API, whatever it is, in a domain, in a server, and you're trying to access it from outside that server, or in this case with JavaScript, it's not going to allow you unless you specifically say that you are allowed access to that API. So here in the error is actually telling you the response. There is no access control allow origin header in the requested resource. That means in the API. So we're going to go to our API. We're going to go to devices. And the first line of code that we're going to add, we're going to put the first one is allow access. So we're going to add that header. So we're going to say header access control allow origin, and we're going to say from everywhere. Okay, that's the start, from everywhere. So once we add this to our API, and we're going to add it to all the APIs, not just this one, we should be able to receive a response from the server, from the API actually. So we're saying that the API is allowing that access. If we do not allow that access, then this resource is not, let's say, public, not open. Okay, so we have to add that to all the our APIs. Okay, did you do that?
Yes.
Okay, so now we're getting a response from the server. Let me close this out. We're getting our response from the server. And as you can see, the status is 200. Now, we all know the status 404, right? That means that page not found or resource not found. So right now, if I were to put something like this, a different URL, we're going to get status 404, not found. So if we get the status 200, that means that we did hit the URL and we were able to open it. If for some reason we get 500, that means that it was rejected by the server. So the status 200 is correct. Okay. So status 200, that is correct. So what we're going to do instead of doing this, we're going to check the status. So we're gonna say if response dot status equals 200, then we're gonna open this. And what I'm gonna do here is parse the response to JSON. That means convert it to JSON. So we're gonna say response dot JSON. And when we convert it, again, we're gonna put then. We're gonna have another anonymous function. In this case, we're gonna use the data that was received by the response. And another arrow function. And here we're gonna display the data. And if you get this, then you should be happy. Okay, did you get it?
All right, got it.
Okay, we're good.
Yes, got it.
Okay, any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, we're gonna leave it here and we'll continue next Thursday. So we're even with the other group. So we'll continue this next Thursday. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
You sure you don't have any questions?
No,
It was a
professor.
lot, so maybe you do have questions.
Hmm.
So I want you guys to think about your project. It has to do with IoT, so smart something, smart school, smart office, smart building, smart home, smart garden, smart manufacturing plant, smart traffic, parking lot, whatever you want, but it has to be smart. So do a little bit of research and tell me about it. And think of your project. Okay?
Okay. Yes.
All right.
Got it.
Okay, Professor.
Yes.
You're welcome. So see you next week.
See you.
See you next.
Bye.
Professor.
Yeah. See you.